Hey everyone, welcome to 14 Victor Echo. So we've been building for a little over a year now, and I started asking Ken the other day, what are we doing?
What kind of options are we doing? The fun of building your own airplane is you get to customize it.
Yeah.
It's not like going to a Cessna factory and you get the one off the line and you get what you get and pay all kinds of money to customize it afterwards. We get to have what we want. So what choices have we made so far?
We have started with a lot of different options.
Some of these choices kind of surprised us. Like, oh yeah, we're just going to order this. Like, there's been a few things that arrived in the mailbox. I'm like, honey, what did we buy now?
Well, you know, you go down the rabbit hole on Facebook and Google search, and you're like, oh, that's better, gotta have. Oh, I want that, that looks good, gotta have. And, well, sometimes you just click buy.
Yeah, sometimes, and so far, I'm really pleased with all the options we've done. So this video, we're going to break down the options that we have chosen and where we have departed from the stock Vans aircraft.
And why we made these decisions.
And then some of them we're going to go into detail and have its own video. So getting started, one of the first ones that we decided the smoke system. That we bought before we
no-brainer.
Even put the money down on the airplane. We have a smoke system here. It's smoke system helpers. It's the 4.7 gallon tank, specially designed for the RV-14. Fits right under the seat. Barely know it's there. From the time I ordered it, it was here in like weeks. So
the only thing that I'm really kind of sad about that is it's not bigger.
Yeah, we're not quite sure how long 4.7 gallons is going to give us, but probably several minutes of smoke. But it's not going to be hours of smoke like Melissa wants. But
so I'm just gonna have to make lots of landings to refill.
Yep, smoke oil's not cheap. So we started with the smoke system, then the JD air latch.
Because it looks amazing.
So was that the thought process before you ordered it?
Yes.
That was one of those that there was no conversation beforehand. She said, sweetheart, JD air latch is on the way. And I guess I had seen some posts about it, but this was way earlier in the build, so we weren't even thinking about that yet.
It looks nice.
So I feel, granted, I haven't felt the stock Vans canopy latch much, but just looking at the plans, it seems a lot thinner and smaller. The JD air latch has a fantastic feel to it. It feels beefier. It's relatively easy to install. It's a little intimidating that you're cutting the hole bigger and having to do some extra work, but in my opinion, well worth it, and it looks fantastic. And we've highlighted that in some of our previous videos.
Yeah. And one of the simplest options that we were like, yes, we're doing that, was with Aircraft Specialty Flightlines, with their fuel lines and their brake lines.
That was an Oshkosh 2022 special that we did. We stopped by, saw Steve at their booth down by the ultralights at Oshkosh. So if you're looking Oshkosh this year, I bet he's going to be down by the ultralights again. It's worth the trek down there to see him. We had already kind of been thinking about Behringer brakes as we stopped by the Behringer booth and looked at that.
True.
But when we got down to Aircraft Specialty Flightlines booth, he basically had a partially built fuselage just to the spot where you can really demonstrate all the goodies he has to offer. And it was more than just the Behringer wheels and brakes. It was the fuel system upgrades and the brake lines up. And we've installed both of those already. Hands down, yes, worth it. So with the fuel system, we moved the fuel pump from the center channel to, we have two fuel pumps, one on each wing in the wing root.
Yeah.
What that frees up for us is the ability to switch the fuel selector valve. Standard Vans airplanes have, or Vans 14s, have the one tank pointing forward and one tank pointing to the side. And that just always bothered me. So now we have left pointing to the left and right pointing to the right. Small thing, but I'm really happy we did it.
And, you know, the red brake lines that we did, they look amazing.
Yeah. So when we were placing the orders, like, oh yeah, we could do specialty colors. We have red. And we're like, Hello, red, yes. So we got the red brake lines. So having looked at the stock plans, the materials that these brake lines that Steve produces, much higher quality. Much more thought has gone into them on how they connect and where you put them and how you install them. They're shielded, so they're not going to fray. They're going to stay working for, I feel, much longer than the stock vans will. You do have to enlarge some holes and put some holes in some ribs and flanges as to route them correctly. If you're going to make the choice to go with Aircraft Specialty Flightlines, call him early, because even when we're putting the fuselage together and put the main landing gear braces, the fit-ins that we had installed, we swap out with what Steve offers. So with a lot of these mods, figure out really what you don't put in early that comes stock with vans. We still have some stock stuff in our plane that, had I known, we would have upgraded earlier. So brakes, wheels, fuel system, that was all custom and fantastic.
And with the fuel system, we went with the Airflow Performance
Fuel pump.
fuel pump.
So part of the upgrade is swapping out the fuel pump that Van sends stock to the Airflow Performance. I don't remember all the reasons that Steve gave us. We did cover some of it in our Oshkosh video last year when we met him. There's a lot of good reasons, but mainly it frees up space since you don't have the fuel filter and fuel pump in the same spot. So it frees up space in the center channel so that we can get that fuel selector valve in that we wanted. That was the main draw for us there.
The other option that we've decided at Oshkosh was control approach rudder pedals.
Phenomenal. It's hard to say it's my favorite upgrade, but it probably is up at the very top of the upgrades that we've done.
So when I was looking at rudder pedals, I was specifically looking for an extension. One that not only controlled the rudders, but also gave me control of the brake. Because obviously there's a little bit of height difference between us. And when we saw control approach rudder pedals, it was like, ooh, these look sleek, you know? And then he's like, oh, by the way, they come with rudder pedal extensions for the rudder and the brake.
Well, they don't come with them. If you sweet talk him, he'll build you some with the extensions.
True.
They are not, and so the pedals themselves look a lot more like traditional certified aircraft. I always felt that the Van's aircraft looked a little too home-built-ish when it came to the rudder and brake pedals, and this adds a much more sleek design that looks a little bit more certified. The installation process is actually, I think they're easier to install than the stock vans are, because there's a lot less building that you have to do, a lot less that you have to put together. But the instructions with the control approach are kind of non-existent. You kind of follow the stock van's instructions and then make some decisions. It wasn't too bad. Got it put together, and but then the extensions, if you can get them, he'll drill a set nut in there with an Allen key. You can put a second pair of pedals on top of them, and it's just, I mean, you have to climb underneath to get to them, so it's not something you want to do mid-flight, but you can legit take the extensions on or off for each flight that you do. We only have one set, so it's either whatever side Melissa's going to sit on, we'll have the extensions. If I'm taking two myself and somebody else who's tall flying, we'll just take the extensions out, no problem. It's just down there with a hex key, real simple and easy. But got them installed, and they look beautiful. The triangle on the firewall, the support that comes with vans, we had to drill that out and put on his, because the way his are designed, the stock triangle on the firewall conflicts with some of the mechanisms, so it needs to be a slightly different design.
Something to keep in mind if you're thinking about going with these rudder pedals.
But then again, we had already riveted that on before we even bought these pedals, so we didn't
Sure.
know. they're easy to install and a great addition. I'm super glad to have our control approach rudder pedals.
So we haven't done much with it yet, but we have made the decision to do Skybolt.
So piano hinges now, even after we purchased the Skybolt for the Cowling, this gives us a good twist lock around the Cowling to get the Cowling on or off without having to pull a piano hinge. As I've done more research since buying it, I learned there's a pretty healthy debate in the community on piano hinge or Skybolt. There's pros and cons to both. We're going to stick with Skybolt. We haven't done much with it because until we have an engine mount and Cowling and to line it up, we really can't do much. We were worried about, well, we skipped steps of where we installed piano hinge on the firewall. Are we doing that right? Short story is just don't put rivets down there. You'll come back later. We still did the fuel tank sealant, and we'll come back later and be able to put the Skybolt on, no problem. So we're going Skybolt, and you know, it was a little bit of a pricey upgrade, but I think we're happy with it.
I think we will be.
Yeah, we'll see when we're drilling into that fiberglass and how happy we are. But that's for an episode later.
Another decision that we made is classic Aero interior. Now, I was a big supporter of this. I looked at a lot of different interiors. One thing that I was hard and didn't really see a lot in person, saw lots of pictures, but in my opinion, classic Aero still had the sleekest design and the most options. So,
and the most history on the RV-14. They've done more RV-14 interiors than I think any of the other options out there. Really makes it look a lot more buttoned up and complete, more certified. I don't want to say certified, like certified is the goal we're looking for. I'm sorry, home built's better than certified, but it makes it look less home built. So it's nice carpet and side panels and pockets.
Makes it look professional.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that. And this paint job that we did that we worried about and stressed, it's going to cover 90% of it.
Yeah.
We went with the, what were the seat options we went with?
The Aviator.
The Aviator seat options.
Aviator seats.
They asked me, do we want the heated seats? I'm like, no, we live in Texas. Our seats come preheated for us.
It'd be awesome if we could get air-conditioned seats.
Yes. But once we get this plane flying up in the air, we'll find air conditioning every time.
We went with front carpet, back carpet, side panels.
And the baggage compartment.
Baggage compartment. So it's pretty much decked out with classic Aero interior. So.
And we did the hooker harness, the 5-point harness with the twist buckle release with the leather pads. So, yeah, we never intended to build the Cadillac of RV-14s, but every time we get to a spot where we could save money and not do this or that, why would we choose here to do that? So, we're ending up kind of all in on this, but
yeah, if Cadillac, this is the Lamborghini.
The Lamborghini. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait till this thing flies. Sorry, I digress.
And then a simple decision. This was a no-brainer that we made recently. The Tosten grips. So I know you talked with
Kevin at Tosten.
And got us all designed out.
So yeah, what's great about Tosten is you get to, with the military style grip, you get to customize how you want switches and where you want your switches to do different options. So, short story, you get the 4-way hat, which is traditionally for trim. You can make it whatever you want. And the trigger button and the recessed button down here come standard. And then you can add on either buttons or switches here or here, and you can configure them how you want. We're going to talk to you about how we configured ours in a separate video. So, got to put the hook in there.
And getting all of those buttons organized were important because we were going over wiring with Avionics.
And that's the other great thing is when Tosten does it, they'll wire it all up for you. And I'm not going to pull this out right now. Actually, it's right here. So they've even put all the pins on the wires for us. So we have decided that for avionics that we're going with Stein to do our panel.
Stein Air.
Stein. They're not happy until we're broke.
We're broke.
They're happy right now. That's their catchphrase in case you haven't seen Stein Air. So with Stein, small deposit down with them, and you can start playing the design game with them once your name comes up. It took us, we signed up about Oshkosh last year.
So about a year?
Yeah, and we're just finishing the design phase with them now. We could have done it earlier, but we pushed them off. So
that's a lot of money.
They do the CAD diagram of your panel, and we're going with the Garmin system, but I'm pretty sure Stein works with all major systems that are out there. You got a picture of our panel. Don't worry, we'll have a lot of details on our panel. So we're up on, I think, revision 12 on the panel. We keep tweaking things, moving things around.
Adding things.
For us, unlike most pilots, left seat is all set up for pilot command, so all the engine switches and stuff are all far left as possible.
Usually.
Since both of us are going to be flying, and I'm probably going to get really comfortable in the right seat, we really wanted to be center justified in everything. So engine controls are center, working ourselves out, and trying to keep that balance. So kind of designing the switch layout of the panel was a fun process.
And considering our whole family is most likely at some point going to be flying this airplane from I don't know what seat.
Yeah, who cares what seat we're in?
We wanted to make it very symmetrical.
So once you start with Stein, they'll start shipping stuff out earlier for you. So wire harnesses. So all the wiring is for the fuselage is put into the airplane. They'll send us the wing wiring later, or I think that comes in the Vans kit. And they work real closely with the Vans wire harness that's already there, so it just plugs right in. You end up with a big adapter up front that they will wire up. So they're going to do all the work for us. All we're going to have to do is plug and play when the avionics comes. So pretty excited by that. And yeah, asking questions. Nick at Stein has been fantastic. I keep picking his brain about should I do that or should I do this. We've come up with some pretty cool options. So
we're gonna go into a lot of detail about that.
So after Stein, center console.
Just some fun things that we opted to do. I know it can be. I've read a lot of different things like it's not worth the hassle or it's just too much extra work. But once again, I think it looks nice. The center console from Aerosport.
Yes, so we're doing the Flight Chops mod, as I think it's been he was one of the first to do that. But we'll have the center console with the 3 levers down between our legs. I think the 14 is wide enough that we're not going to eat up too much space. But frees up a lot of room on the panel. So because you don't have the throttle and engine controls up on the panel anymore. So so we're doing the center console there and working with McFarlane to get the cables that we need for that. So all you have to do is call up and say, give me the Flight Chops order. He actually has the order form pre-printed. All you have to do is put your name and payment information on them. Cables are all measured and ready to go. So it's like a 2 to 3 week turn time on those. So we haven't ordered the cables yet, but they will come. It's kind of need an engine for them to connect.
Yeah, there's a few things missing.
So that's going to be nice. The only thing I don't know, and if anybody does know, drop a comment. The power plug, the power plug and the music jack that's traditionally behind or in the center of the seats or whatever, does the center console cover that? We're going to get the console. It should be shipping anytime, so we'll know the answer here pretty soon. I haven't wired that up yet because I'm afraid that the center console is going to cover that, and we'll just have to figure something out.
Yeah.
We don't really need it because our panel's got everything else in it.
Last, but we are working on it, is we're going with Evoke for paint.
We're up on like revision 35 on the paint.
I know. But
So.
I want it to be perfect. How many times do you get to design and paint your own airplane? Okay, well, this probably won't be the only one. But
Like once every 5 years, right?
yeah.
Or 10 or 20.
This is my first one.
Yes.
I want it to be perfect.
So our design is coming along. I think we had a breakthrough last week with the direction we wanted to go. We just need to get back and keep on them. No worries. We've still got another, year and a half before paint date. So got plenty of time to work that design in. But I think that's about the mods that we've done. So got questions? Drop them in the comments. We'll respond in the comments and maybe even inspire one of our next videos to do a deep dive on something specific.
Yeah. This is what we chose to do, and we're happy with it so far.
Thank you for joining us in 14 Victor Echo.
See you next time.